proving once again that there are fewer things harder in this world than holding on to a UFC belt. This week, it is Robbie Lawler losing out to Tyron Woodley. You've just an unbelievable knockout, to be honest, and we've brought in our MMA analyst from outside on New Jersey. I'm going to introduce you to something new every clip, Jason. So the previous clip, you were a rookie.
Serious?
You were a rookie analyst who is trying out for the first time, and now you're MMA analyst out there in New Jersey. So, Jay, I know you watched this UFC 201. This fight, thoroughly enjoyable considering UFC 200 wasn't the greatest card we
Seriously.
watched it together at that point. So, first of all, your thoughts on the fight. I know you were a big fan of Robbie Lawler coming into this, but it just seems that it's almost impossible to hold on to a belt in the UFC at the moment. Every division seems to be changing hands at some point or the other.
Well, if you're a fan of fighting, you're a fan of Robbie Lawler, because Robbie Lawler's last two fights were Fight of the Years. Carlos Condit was unbelievable. It was a bloodbath. And considering it is Bloodsport, and Rory McDonald just before that. So going into this fight, I mean, after UFC 200, I'm going, okay, at least at 201, we'll get like a 5-round slugfest, right? Okay. Instead, Tyron Woodley came in. Tyron Woodley, terrifying looking man, is the first guy to put Lawler down by striking since Nick Diaz. So what's amazing about that is that somehow we've hit a point in the UFC where we have 6 degrees. You know the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
That you can always find. We are now 6 degrees of a Diaz brother. Because every single UFC card, the Diaz has come up in some way or another, whether it be an interview or whether it be a previous fight or whether it be a brawl from years ago. But, yeah, I mean, look, that knockout, that stunned him. He put him right against the cage, and Lawler wasn't going to move. So I don't know how you hold on to a belt. I don't know what kind of training you need to go through to keep it. What's amazing is there is somebody who has held on to his belt time and time and time again, and he never gets talked about, and he finishes guys in the first, second, third round most of the time. It's Demetrious Johnson, Mighty Mouse, and he actually had an injury, so he took himself off this card. I guess if you win 8, 9, 10 straight bouts and you keep defending your title, we'll give you a pass.
Yeah.
You can get an injury. But he's going to be back, and if his reign comes to an end, you're going to just recycle it again, and you're going to have guys that are going to be title defending for maybe 1 or 2. That was Lawler's going to be his 3rd title defense, and his streak got snapped, and we're considering 3 a streak.
Yeah. So the next goal for Tyron Woodley, according to his rather not safe for work language, should I say, as they were saying in his post-match press conference, he basically stated that he's going to make some money before he retires. And I got to respect someone that's as honest as that. I love to hear that in the sport, because often people are like, all right, these guys are driven solely by their ambition to reach the top, which is very true. But you got to make your money whilst you're in that at that level in competition. So what he stated is, I want to make some money now. To be honest, this is a sport where we can make cash now. So instead of just saying this person deserves it, he worked his way up the ranks. I think Nick Diaz comes out of suspension in 2 days. I'd love to fight him at UFC 202. I know his brother is fighting there. I'd like to give him that opportunity, or I'd like to fight George St. Pierre in New York City. I mean, we'd love to see him fight GSP. That'd be a phenomenal fight.
Just
at this moment in time, I think that he states pretty obviously what his intentions are. He wants to make a fight that people want to see. He wants to be involved in a fight that's going to draw the audience, that's going to draw in that crowd. His fight against Robbie Lawler, as you mentioned, was going to draw in a crowd that really wanted to see these two face off, because we were probably going to get in for a warrior match where they were going to be striking each other and probably going the distance as many would have expected. As you mentioned, Robbie Lawler not being taken down through a strike in his UFC history is something that none of us were really expecting for Tyron Woodley to come in and do that. But the guy has paid his dues. He's been working his way up that 170-pound mark, and he got his chance and he took it. So next up for him, if he says Nick Diaz is going to come out of suspension, I'm going to tune in to see that fight. Another one where you've got 2 warriors of the industry facing off against each other. It's going to be a phenomenal card. Or, as you mentioned, Nate Diaz in there is going to be a big draw. Nate Diaz, as we know, facing up against Conor McGregor in, I believe, 20-plus days. So I'm counting down the days for that.
Coming up, it's soon, and that's going to be a big draw.
Yeah.
With Lawler hasn't been put down by strikes since Nick Diaz. God, the Diaz brothers. But that was the only 2 who have done it. So a fight against any one Diaz brother, specifically in this case because of the welterweight class, probably be Nick. You would think with Woodley that that's a great matchup that should at least go the distance. The thing with that weight class, the welterweights in general, they're all brawlers. Like, I mean, for example, It's one thing when you see like the blood sport of it, the blood dripping down their face, everything that goes with it. But just go back and watch Lawler versus Condit, or go back and watch, I'm talking to the audience, Lawler versus McDonald, and you'll see two of the best UFC fights you've ever seen in your life. So again, really not since UFC, 196 have we gotten stunned by a card, all from top to bottom. And Tyron Woodley comes out and says about this whole thing with the money, right? Well, I'm not sure if he's realized in what direction the UFC goes, but unless you are the top 1% of the UFC, you don't make your money.
Yeah.
I mean, they had just a story on Nate Diaz running where he thought his first fight that he won that he was going to be rich. He couldn't even afford to go and buy a Honda Civic. But if you're Conor McGregor or if you're Brock Lesnar, you're getting millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars. So if you want to be in the top 1% of that money, you have to be more polarizing than every other figure in your weight class, in your division. Demetrius Johnson doesn't get his money, doesn't get his promotion, and he's doing everything in the sport right. Everybody else technically can't even defend the title, but they'll find a way to get it, or they're getting pinched for steroids. So when it comes down to it, yeah, I'm not back close to, still mad at Conor for his UFC 200 BS. But if you want to make your money, take a page out of his book and start causing controversy, start causing problems. And of course, you can't lose, but continue to win. So, I mean, when I look at it too, I thought UFC 201, I thought it was a great 3 minutes because we saw a wonderful knockout. That's always fun. But the card top to bottom, UFC 200 was weak. UFC 199 was weak because of pullouts. It's been close to 10 UFCs straight where only 2 have been really worth the money.
Yeah. All right. Well, we always have a soft spot for Demetrius Johnson over here, so we do hope. And I mean, we pay homage to him. A lot of sources do pay homage to him. But as you mentioned there, I just don't think he gets the respect that he deserves for being such a consistent champion.
Captivating.
Yeah.
He's not as controversial.
So
he's too good. He's too good of a person.
In games, when he's a gamer, you're always going to get ahead in life. So if Tyron Woodley adds another emphatic knockout to that one that he just had recently, I'm sure he will make that money that he's set out to make. But thanks, Jason, for taking some time out of your trip to Bora and whatever you're partaking in.
Where do you think I am?
What is it?
Florida? Boca?
All right, Boca. What did I say? Bora? I thought you were on like Bora Beach. And what is that? Is that Ibiza?
We're close to South Beach. We're not that far.
Boca. All right. I was at the first. I had 3 letters out of the 4 right, so you can't completely scrutinize me for that. You know, my geometry's off.